sit home, get recharged, and go again.
We didn't have a website until right before the pandemic, which is crazy.
And this is very explicit, so stop me if I need to.
Okay, let's go R-rated.
Well, yeah, this is R-rated for sure.
Mean Girls never win.
Mean
No,
Girls
Mean Girls
never
never
win.
Yes.
I remember that song. If you drink, don't drive. Do
Do
the
the watermelon crawl.
So today on The Beet Goes On, I have Barbara Sloan. She is the author of a book called Tipped. She's an service industry bartender, now owns her own construction company. I'll let her tell all about it. She is currently, you're right in Manhattan, right? The heart of Manhattan is where, Yep. Okay, so I'll let you introduce yourself because nobody's gonna do it better than you.
Great. Yeah. Hi, I'm Barbara Sloan. Most people who meet me today know me as a women-owned operator of a high-end renovation company here in Manhattan. We work for really, really high net worth client on residential renovations. If you're into real estate porn and you want to see, the really glamorous apartments of high net worth individuals, you can check out our website, manhattanrenovations.com. And yeah, so that's mostly what people know me for when they meet me today. But what they don't realize is that I also spent 20 years working largely in tandem, but sometimes instead of, in the service industry. And I did so working all across the country in a variety of different roles. And yeah, it's a big part of my story is working in the service industry.
Yeah, and this is why I'm so excited to have her on because I actually haven't talked about this on the podcast, but I bartended on and off for 12 years, single mom. It was my go-to. And this is what I wanted to get into talking with you about. Let's just start with that. And her book is called Tipped. I am buying several copies and giving out to friends of mine who I know are still in the service industry. And I know this book would be wonderful for them. But yeah, I want to start there. I want to start with tools that you, now owning this multi-million-dollar company, I resonate so much with you because I did learn, we were just talking about this before we actually went on, but we learned so much. There's no, I always felt bad that I didn't have, some bachelor's or master's degree when all my friends were off in college. I had a baby. So I felt inadequate. And now what I really want to hear you say, because this is how I truly feel now, there's no college that could have taught me what bartending and service industry taught me.
Yeah, I like to say everything I learned about running a successful multi-million-dollar company, I learned working in the service industry. And that for all of the imposter syndrome that people in the service industry face, they need to dig deep and realize they are highly skilled and highly valuable individuals that can pivot and have transferable skills across many industries.
Yes. Resilient humans.
So resilient. A big inflection point for me was in 2013. I moved to New York City with my wife with like $700 in our pocket. I got 2 jobs. The first job I got was at Coyote Ugly, which if people don't know what Coyote Ugly is, you sing and dance on the bar, you hit your patrons, you make girls take their bras off. Oh yes, we've all seen it. And then I also got a job working on Wall Street where I was working for an unregulated firm. It was part trading floor, part independent sales organization selling usurious loan products, which if people don't know what that is, it's loan sharking and it's disgusting. And after a few months and the third trader getting shipped off to rehab, I was like, I got to go back to construction and bars because this financial services is too toxic. So I ended up getting a second job at the company that I now own. I was employee number 3, and they tasked me with setting up an HR department. I had never had HR before. I had no idea what HR did. I had no idea what health insurance was, what a 401k was, what pre-tax benefits, FSA, paid time off. I knew none of this because I had spent my career in the service industry and never was on the receiving end of any of those benefits. And then we were working for these really high net worth clients, and I was seeing how they behaved with money. And it was sort of my aha moment where I was like, oh, it's this mindset and these behaviors and these benefits and these systems that have left everyone who works in the service industry out of the wealth building world. And I was like, that's when I was like, I'm on a mission now. I need to help people in this industry.
I love that. I love that because I was that person. And I found honestly, you would think I would find all this self-worth in being a mom. And God, I love me some Gavin. He's so proud of him. But I found a lot of my self-worth when I started my own little business. It was like, oh my gosh. But that mentality, it was hard to switch over from bartender to business owner and that imposter. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing because I was in a totally different world.
So many people don't
Totally
realize
different
in the service industry that when you're dealing with the general public on a daily basis, they have a way at chipping at your confidence. They constantly ask you these questions that are so rude.
I feel like as a woman, I know men deal with it too. And I don't want to have a Me Too moment or anything, but I got hit on so hard all the time, and you would think that would make you feel great, but sometimes you just want to be normal and go into work and do your damn job.
It really reduces you, when you're reduced to your appearance, when you're reduced to entertainment value, when people are like, oh, what's your real job? And I think that what is behind that question is people look at you and they think, oh, this person is having fun. This person is getting to have this job. Why do they get to have this job and how do they make their life work? So I think behind it is some curiosity, but it comes off really poorly. And it impacts the people who work in these industries and prevent us from taking on bigger and different opportunities in our lives. I suffered with imposter syndrome for so long, even while I was running. Even while I was running in a multi-million-dollar company, I was like, who am I to write a personal finance book? I have no degree. I have no credentials. I've only gotten through financial freedom through DIY, listening to 10,000 hours of books on tapes and podcasts and things like that. I'm totally self-taught. So who am I to write this book?
Same.
But I realized no one is talking to people in this industry. No one is talking to bartenders and strippers and waitresses and hairstylists and nail technicians and
I thought my only next step was real estate. I was like, that's, I still didn't feel comfortable. I had a business and it was slowly growing, but I got in my own way from it growing because of imposter syndrome and because I didn't feel good enough or worthy enough or smart enough or, I just didn't. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's actually refreshing to hear you say, because it's not something I think I've ever openly talked about.
Yeah. And I also think that when your compensation or a portion of your compensation comes in the form of small cash or bills, it doesn't have the same legitimizing impact as a paycheck does. And so we often get in our own heads and think that, oh, this isn't real money. Just because a lot of times as soon as it enters our world, it exits our world pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
We have a lot of unique hazards and a lot of unique opportunities.
Yes, I agree. I'm loving this so far. It's like, it really is just hitting home for me. And we were talking before we went on that we still, even though we both have these successful companies, I still miss it. Like, I miss the people. I miss, even as much as it chipped away, I miss it. And I miss and tell me if this is how it is for you. I miss the authentic, vulnerable people, like the people who are unapologetically themselves. When I transitioned into commercial real estate, that was really tough for me. And in Savannah, it's very much a man's world, even though I still work my license under the best broker in town, Beth Vantosh. I chose a woman, and it was so weird how we met. I found her necklace on the ground. It was kind of crazy. But like when I was transitioning into that in Savannah, the old dirty South, there's some weird, good old boy stuff still going on, and I'm not scared to say it out loud. And it was really intimidating for me going in. I went right into commercial real estate. That was tough. I was still bartending and working commercial real estate. And I'm doing this because this is how I felt. I felt like I was doing something where I should be here, but I'm still down here. And it did not make me feel good. That position in commercial real estate did not serve me well at first. I'm resilient, so I built up, I got there, but I felt like no one took me seriously. I felt like
Yeah.
a joke because
And I feel like
because I was the bartender and the bitchy bartender in Savannah. That's because life did chip away those last few years. I was the bitch.
this industry has such terrible PR. You know, and I think part of that is Hollywood to blame, right? There's the trope of the struggling stripper or waitress who's, you know, either trying to put themselves through college, or they're not able to leave a hometown domestic violence situation or whatever. Like there's so many tropes that are carried through in the media that portray this industry as not legitimate, as moral and ambition failures, as people who can't get ahead. And so we all have to suffer from that. But I also think that the reason that our industry suffers from this is we don't have these benefits in place. And we also don't have good modeling in our industry of people who do get ahead financially. And
right. That's so true. There's still like some kind of disconnect from the server to the bar owner. Like there's a huge disconnect. I agree with you completely.
The other industry that I think used to have really terrible PR was waste management, right? Like people are always like, don't let your kids grow up to be a garbage man. Don't let your kids grow up to be a stripper. But like that story has changed. The people in waste management, they have benefits. They get paid really well. Like now that the money is there, people don't look down on those people so much. They're like, oh, they're home by 3:00.
I remember when my son was deciding what to go to school for, he's going for environmental engineering. He's a pothead that has it with a passion, and he's super intelligent. But he really cares about the environment. But when I remember him having a conversation with someone, it was right pre-COVID when he graduated, and they said they're like, you need to be a plumber. I can't find a plumber anywhere. The one I did find, I overpaid or whatever overpaying is. But yeah, I mean, like anything in the waste management, that role has changed. I didn't even think about that till you said that. It reminded me of that conversation.
You just hit on a really good word. It's needed. And I think the thing about people in the service industry is that people don't recognize the need that our communities, have for people in the service industry. You were probably the only smile that someone got in a day. In a world where our connection and our ability to meet people is getting smaller and smaller as technology is changing and advancing, I think this industry is more important than ever. You said you missed working in this industry because you missed that like vulnerability, that connection. That is so important for humans to relate. There's not many places.
And now that my company, I don't know if you tell me if you dealt with this, Savannah's a small community. So I still see I'll still run into my coworkers, and they are equal to me. Like they'll be like, they'll make funny comments like, you made it. And I'm like, I'm just doing something different. I'm no better, no different. I'm a stronger person because of that position, and I chose to get out of it and do something on my own. But I enjoy their smiles now, and I enjoy their feedback and their support so much. And they have no idea. I mean, I could name 10 people off. I'm thinking of, I recently had someone just tell me that I was an inspiration to them. And he was a bartender in town. And I was like, that was so sweet. I don't know where that came from, but you have no idea how much I appreciate it. They're my family. It's weird how it becomes a family dynamic. Very much like my college friends who had sorority sisters. Like that was my sorority, or that was my college. So
yeah, those connections continue to be important on an interpersonal level, on a networking level. I met so many people while I was working in the industry. You and I ended up leaving the industry ultimately to find our success. And a big part of the message that I want people who are in the industry today to know is that you can have success in the industry. You have to put some systems in place, boundaries, financial systems. But if someone told me at the age of 19 that you can be a career bartender and retire by the time you're 40 if you just follow everything that's in my book, I would have jumped at that chance because I had so much fun in this industry and I loved it.
And you do see those success stories where people stay in the bar industry, but they become bar owners or they get involved in some bigger part of the hospitality. My friend Jane, in fact, I frequent her bar often because it's in the building that I live in. So I take the elevator home. So that's easy breezy. But I'm so proud of her. I've watched her be my favorite bartender to now be my favorite bar owner in town. Her boyfriend and her both own bars and do a fabulous job. So you see that, it's good to see that, but anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the math is the math. Like
exactly.
The thing you also have to remember is that if you are making $40,000 a year and you want to retire or retire early, you don't have to save and invest what someone who makes $100,000 is going to need to replicate in order to retire as well. And so it's often a little more easy and doable for people in low and middle income to retire from these low and middle income jobs. I had no financial literacy growing up. I don't know about you. How was your household growing up with money?
Well, my dad passed away when I was a kid. He was killed in a car accident. My mom was pregnant with my sister when this happened. My mom quickly, strong ass woman, quickly got a 4-year degree and 2 years in the health care field. She's a nurse. But my mom loved writing some checks she can't cash. Like, I'm just saying that figuratively. Like, we were in debt most of my life. I was scared to death of a credit card, and which is why I went towards the bartending, because if I didn't have the cash, I didn't do it because I was terrified of debt, which is now silly owning a company. I'm like, I have to have debt. Like, I have to do this. I have to have inventory. It's so weird how I had to completely flip my mentality. But yeah, I grew up in a very, we were middle class, but sometimes because of poor financial decisions, and I love my mom, not bashing her, but because of poor financial decisions, we were living off bread. Because it was a roller coaster. I'm learning to have a better relationship with money even now.
I have a very similar upbringing, but Dad passed
tell me
away
about yours.
Yeah, my mom left our house when I was 12.
Wow.
My dad worked nights, had some substance use issues. I was on my own for paying bills and taking care of the house. I learned to have, like you, a scarcity mindset. Debt was modeled for me. So I unlike you, got myself into debt multiple times. And it was hard.
I kind of did. I've got myself in some weird binds when I started the company, which I think was what helped me. I had that. When I finally did start making money, I didn't know what the hell to do with it. Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think that we don't realize, especially in the industry, we're really good at talking about how much we made on a shift, but we're terrible at talking about how to manage money, how to save money, how to invest money, and how to improve our money mindset. I think what's interesting about people in the service industry is they have both a scarcity and an abundance mindset. You have scarcity in that you want to spend it right away, but you also know that cash is coming to you frequently. Yeah. So we have this weird mindset where you have a little bit of both scarcity and abundance that we need.
It's so funny you say that, because I'm trying to get better with money, and I'm taking, money mindset coaching, courses, podcasts, self-teaching myself. And when they put you in a category, I'm like, shit, I'm both. And it's so funny to hear that come out of your mouth, because that's exactly where I am.
100%. It's odd. I've never seen it across any other industry, ever. But we have it both. So we have to solve for both in different ways. We have to heal our relationship with money in both ways, which makes it harder for you to, and we can go into this too. Like, you're a business owner. I'm a business owner. Budgeting when you're in the service industry is so difficult when you're living on a fluctuating income, and you have all of these personal finance people saying like, oh, spend, you have to budget off of your income. And if your income is fluctuating, there's no guidelines out there for how to do that. But now as business owners, we realize it's the exact same way. No business has the same income and expenses every month. You have to look for trends, and you have to constantly iterate to manage it. And that's what people in the industry have to do as well.
Yeah. And it is, courageous. I don't know if that's the word, but now, like, looking at it and actually speaking out about it with someone like you, like, I'm proud. Like, I'm proud that I did that transition. And that's why, I take coaching women who are starting their own spray tan business so seriously. Because I want to be that you can do it, that be proud of yourself for starting something. That's something to be proud of. One of my dearest friends, 20-year friendship, she was a hairstylist for the last 15 years. I made her open up her own salon. I was like, you're already paying this much in booth rent. Like, I have a commercial real estate license. When I saw a space come open, I kind of like put my foot down. I was like, you do this, I will help you along the way. And she as a hairstylist has this very similar, because it's still a service industry,
Yep.
Has that same mentality, and she doesn't trust herself. So it's like a mirror. Like, I'm like, girlfriend, I'm dealt with the same damn thing. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I get what and sometimes it's crippling for, that imposter syndrome. It can be depressive. Like, it can. Did you deal with any of that when you were transitioning into having your own company? Did you get depressed and sad? Like, you have all this cool shit happening for you. Why the fuck am I so depressed right now?
Oh my
gosh. Did you go through that?
100%. And I think one of the things that helped it the most was having multiple things going on. So even when one thing was failing, the other thing maybe wasn't failing, and I could focus my energy on the thing that wasn't failing. I would say that my entire life has been just failing forward.
Yeah.
And
failing is learning, which I had to accept that. Failing is not failing, it's learning.
I love what you're doing, because it also, I think, is a great option for people in the industry to have something that is their own, and to, it's running a business is very similar to working in the service industry. You have your sales, you have your networking, you have, your marketing, you have lots of interpersonal skills, you have time management, you have problem solving. Everything you do on a shift in service is things you're going to do if you own your own small business as well. And so I like your model for a lot of reasons, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. That. One, I love that you're giving this product to people who are working in like the dance side, like the strippers and sex workers, and even people in beauty and body services, whether you're doing like tanning for bridal parties or whatever.
Like, I have some people that add it on because they're doing lashes and they want. So just to give you like a little. This is the bartender reminded me, which is why my sister had some skin cancer scares. So that I was like, I am not suntanning. I learned how to spray tan for her. And then I was like, shit, it only takes me, back then it took me, because I've been spray tanning for 18 years. Back then it took me about 30, 45 minutes with that process to do a client. I had a bad business partnership. I'm not even going to bore you with all of that drama. I was 22. She was 52. That's saying enough. I was 22-year-old know-it-all. So fast forward. So when I started working on my own branding and my own product, which someone threw me into and said, you need to do this. I met a beauty chemist. It wasn't like I was like, I'm going to have my own products and my own brand. It was like, I'm going to take the knowledge and simplify it for myself. Thank you, beauty chemist. You're a friend of the family. Thank you for helping me. I was doing it for myself because I was tired of buying all the product. I was like, I don't want the cosmetic bronzer. Everyone wants clean ingredients. I simplified it. What I didn't know I was doing at the time is I was making the process down to 5 minutes so you can turn over a client faster, because I needed to, because I was working 2 other jobs. So I simplified it for myself, and then boom, my first girl comes to me and was actually a client. She was moving to LA and she was like, I want you to teach me how to spray tan. I was like, sure, $500. She paid me for that. It was like, and then I was like, holy shit. And then one went to 13 people, then 13 went to 30. And then I was like, when I got around 30 women, and then I realized that I was teaching them something, and one of their fathers came to me and said, one of the teachers, because she lives about 45 minutes away, her dad lives here in Savannah, he goes, hell, Suzanne's making more money with the spray tan than she just is as a teacher. Yeah. And he's like, thank you so much for what you've done for Suzanne. She was miserable teaching. I don't want to say too much, but she was just stuck in a little tiny school with the same people every day. And it was like light bulb. And so this business has a little overhead, and someone like me who has nothing, who has, the $100 to $500 shift, God bless whatever the season is, right? That can take this and run with it and work it around whatever other jobs I had, many, and being a mom. So yes, I appreciate you saying that, but that's the whole reason for this podcast is I want to find girls and like whatever, it might not be a spray tan business, but I want them to feel motivated by women, I've interviewed some women who have master's degrees and doctrines, and they're just as amazing. It's just I didn't go that route. So, whatever way we all have that like insecurity, or we all have that. No one's perfect. So whatever I can do here to motivate or even find some new spray tan partners. Maybe I can find you some new clients. Like, that's what the point of the podcast is to empower everything. So, but I appreciate you respecting this coming from the service industry, because it was everything I learned there was very helpful with my business.
And I love that your focus is on clean, because I think one of the things about the service industry is that we just don't value our health. We don't realize that our bodies are the things that are making us money. Our bodies are the product, true. Ourselves, our minds, that we are the product. We are what is making the money. And if we aren't taking care of ourselves in ways with like being conscious about the chemicals that we put on our bodies.
Did you used to eat terrible when you worked in the industry?
Oh my God. I worked at a club where every single thing on the menu was fried.
Me too.
It is so hard to do hot girl shit with the brown bag. Like, oh my God.
I just was somehow blessed with a tiny body, but now, I turned 40 this year.
Ooh, I'm right behind you.
Heck yeah. And my son is 21. Like, people can't even fathom it, because I guess I look young. I give it, kudos to my mother and the genes, but also to me staying out in the sun for years. But I ate like shit. I drank Fireball and wild turkey on a weekly basis. In fact, last night I went to my favorite bar in Savannah. Not the one that's in my building. That's actually my number one. My number two favorite bar, which is Pinky. It's the oldest bar in Savannah. I think it's the oldest. Pretty sure it's the oldest bar in Savannah. And I was sitting there with my girlfriend, the hairstylist, and we were shooting the shit about business shit. Just bitching. And I said, you know what? And Matt, bartender, and Burke, they were like, what are you going to have, Michelle? I'm still known as Shelly, the bartender, and the bitchy bartender. And he was like, what are you going to have? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a wild turkey for old time's sake. Now, I sipped it because homegirl can't do it like I used to. But I used to drink like 6 of those.
Wait, it's just so...
in a night.
And that's what I think, like... I don't want people to do exactly what I did. I want people to avoid the mistakes that I made, because people can, our industry doesn't have an income problem. We don't. We have a lot of problems, and some of them are environmental, and a lot of that has to do with health, right? Like, I remember not going to the bathroom while I had a shift.
Oh, me too. Or working sick as a damn dog because I had bills to pay.
Extreme dehydration because you just went from a hangover to just massive amounts of coffee to get yourself through the next shift. And that's another reason I love what you're doing, is that your focus is on clean ingredients and letting people still feel good about themselves.
And I am living a different lifestyle as well now. I'm treating my mind and my body better, because I can't serve these women who now look up to me as a mentor. Again, I told you I take it very seriously. And you have to be that. I mean, you have to be that way for your company now. But damn, that was fun.
So fun. But at the same time, it wasn't sustainable. And
oh no,
you and I ended up having to pivot out of necessity.
Well, I would get grouchy with my kids sometimes because I was working these crazy hours, and I have a lot of guilt with that as a mom. Thank you. He actually does not enjoy alcohol. Like I said, he's a pothead. But, I just every once in a while would just look him dead in his damn little beautiful blue eyes and say, I am so sorry that, for the way I spoke to you on the way to school because I was on 2 hours of sleep. I think it's good to hold yourself accountable for those moments when you didn't treat your body well, because then you don't have the right mindset if you're not okay to run a company.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but when I was in the industry, I always felt like there's a cost to winding down. You leave a shift energized. You want to go out for a drink. You want to have a shift drink with your coworkers.
Yeah, I never wanted to go to bed, go chill, go just do yoga, ever.
And I think our industry gets a lot of shade for that because
Very much so.
They're like, oh, well, stop spending money at the bar. Okay, Jason, with your 8-hour shift at an office and a computer, you don't know what it's like.
Did you find it hard dating? It was very, for me, go ahead. I would like to hear someone else's point of view because I don't think I've ever asked anyone this.
I will just say, thank God I'm gay. Like, thank God
I am not. Poor me.
Poor you. I'm so sorry.
I tried it. Have you ever heard that Chelsea Handler skit where she was like, I was a lesbian until it was my turn? That was me. I tried because I gave up on men, and my family's really religious, so I kind of just wanted to like piss them off. Oh God, please, Papa, don't listen to this. My Papa's a preacher, so it was also like me exploring. You know, I'm a lover. I love all people. I love love. I love everyone. So that, but yeah, dating for me is still hard. Actually, I'm still single, but it's a choice now. Or before, I like just had bad dating pickers, and I think it was I know that it was the lifestyle. Yeah, I know that I know.
Gosh, and so it's so interesting to think about the relationship dynamics in the industry too, because one of the first things I tell people, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching now for people in the industry. I tell them, do not date somebody at your establishment, because then you don't have income diversity. If your income is suffering because of lulls or some sort of issue, then at least you want your partner to have a different source of income.
Yeah, and then I think it's difficult with hours. Like the hours that I would work that, and then I mean it was a lot of things. Like I could go on and on about that. I just got to a point where I'm learning to love myself, that part of myself too. But it's all about self. It's all about how you feel about yourself. And I think the late hours, the drinking, the constant getting hit on, I just had like a bad view of a man.
See, I had the absolute opposite experience because I like wasn't interested in them. I was like, oh, look at you shooting your shot. That's so cute.
Yeah. That's why I was known as a bitchy bartender, because I did not want to get hit on. So I would like finish their sentence before they were done. Like, I know what you're going to say. Where to get my tattoos? Blah, blah, blah. What's your favorite drink? I don't know. I have different taste buds than you. Like, I was that girl. I was that girl that was like, come on, dude. I'm here to make money. This ain't Hooters. Go to Hooters. I've worked there. I was told to bend over the bar. This is a fast-paced bar. There are 4 people behind you. You have to be respectful of them. I don't have time to... They're going to, I would just break it down for them. They'd be like, you don't have to be a bitch. And I'm like,
yes, I do.
Well, your drink is full, so I did my job. Next. That's kind of like, that was my spiel all the time.
I remember working at Coyote, and the handbook said you cannot bring your boyfriends or husbands into the bar. And I remember being like, well, that doesn't apply. Doesn't apply to me. Thank goodness.
I know. I'm kind of jealous. Like, that probably did make life a little
women in the industry.
Thank you. And I appreciate you like recognizing that. It was tough, and especially for like really me. I was a single mom going in there with a purpose to make money. But I will tell you, because I didn't go to college, I didn't get that like sorority sister thing that all my girlfriends I went to high school with, which I'm still friends with them. I just, there was just a break where we weren't on the same page in life, and we caught back up later. That's what true friends do. But for me, if I'm being truthful, it was me. I was able to go and make money and have fun.
Yeah.
Where what did you say you worked on Wall Street? I sold Medicare supplements. And I went right back to bartending because I felt like the biggest piece of crap. I was scamming old people on the phone.
Oh yeah. I remember my boss like finding someone who had taken out a loan with them, like a margin loan with them. He found their daughter on Facebook and sent her like horrible messages trying to get his money back. Or I remember him sending a pizza to somebody's uncle. Like, it was so mobster. I was like, this is absolutely disgusting. Yeah. But I will say, even as a gay woman, being a woman in this industry still has some scary points. I had stalkers. I was kidnapped or abducted by my cab driver in Boston once.
Oh my gosh, tell me about that.
I have still had some really terrifying experiences. When you are in this industry, you have to be more diligent as a woman. You have to make sure your money is put away. You have to change out of whatever your clothes are so that you don't look like you just came off of a cash earning shift. You have to make sure your phone is charged when you're leaving. You have to make sure that if you're in a town or a place where your car is parked in a parking lot, that you have a manager or a bouncer walking you to your car. I mean,
yeah, and it sucks because not all. I'm just lucky where nothing bad ever happened to me, but it did happen to coworkers. I was followed once, and it might have been my papa. My grandpa's like so funny. He's a pastor, but he's hilarious. He's like 6'6" and freaking hilarious. He told me that if anyone ever follows you, because downtown Savannah's bad. So, my family, which is not, was my everything for many years. I still live down here. But he would be like, just scream and run and be the crazier one. And I damn sure did that one night. Somebody was following me in my car, and he was like, I could tell he was like off, like he was clearly like on something. And he was saying he was going to lay in front of my car unless I gave him the time of day, talk to him. Why was I judging him? And I just threw my hands up in the air and like acted like a complete psychopath. And he was like, walked away. But super, super funny experience, but also very fucking scary. It was scary. I don't know what that guy, he could have been harmless. He could have just whatever. I also worked at a pharmacy where I filled a lot of prescriptions for a psych ward nearby. So again, resilience. Like I just had, always had a lot of little side jobs when I was trying to figure out. I kind of went in and out of bartending, but always went right back to it because, a pharmacy, like all of that, just, I was like, dude.
So similar. I worked in Vegas.
But the money was better.
Yeah. I worked in Vegas at a dive bar that was between a truck stop and a rent by the hour motel.
Oh,
It's called the Rusty Spur now, but it was called Lucky's when I worked there. And oh my God, like the stories, I mean.
Oh, I bet.
This industry has those stories, but at the same time, it's still a job,
Yeah, it is a job. Now, if you could give anyone, we're going to start wrapping it up, but I mean, I still want to keep in contact with you because I just feel like it was like meant to be that we met. And I'll be actually in New York in May.
Great, yeah.
So I'll see, my best friend Beth, the broker of my license center. Anyway, she got her license in New York and ended up here. So she's the best person to go to New York with. So I'll definitely keep in touch with you, and hopefully we can reconnect. Yeah. But if you could say anything to that, the us right now, what would what is like one little tidbit that you would say to someone who's inspired by like this podcast and this conversation?
I would say the two most important things that people in the service industry can do, if I'm allowed to, instead of
please.
Just one. Yeah. Two things that I would say are the most important things for people in the service industry who want to start getting better with their money and working towards like financial freedom. The first is developing an emergency fund. Mm-hmm. When you work in this industry, there is some power imbalance. I like to say that a bar, a serving section, it's like the Facebook comment section. Like you are dealing with the most random people. And in order to have power in those situations, you need to know that you can say no and that you're not depending on their specific tip. In order to do that, you have to build up a reserve of savings so that you know that that is there and that you can walk away from any single situation. I like to recommend 3 to 6 months to start off with as an emergency fund. All of the economists and the big finance heads are talking about an upcoming recession. Mm-hmm. If you are in the industry, I would say focus on making sure you're at a place with full liquor license, because places with alcohol tend to fare better in recessions, and make sure that your connections and your networking is on point. So build up that savings, that savings buffer of 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund, and make sure you're keeping your connections with your coworkers, your managers, maybe a different establishment, making sure you're keeping those things strong.
Yes. Yeah, that's really, really, really great advice. And I wish I had done that in different moments. I think there were, I ended up somehow accidentally doing that, but to have that like clearly in your head and be more purposeful, with that, it is going to be a game changer. It's going to be a game changer on how you show up to work and your mindset when you have that when you have that safe haven, you have, you know you're going to be okay.
I never had an emergency fund for like the longest time. I remember the first time someone told me about it, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to have
What are you talking about?
3-6 months just sitting in an account, not for a down payment, not for a vacation, not for anything, but it is my favorite financial product. Like it gives me so much peace of mind, and it really lets me say like, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in dealing with your bullshit right now.
I love that. And it's a very powerful place to be. That's it's so funny just having like a little emergency fund, how much that can change your life. Well, I want to say it again. If you haven't read the book, please pick it up. It's called Tipped, and I'm purchasing quite a few for my dear friends in the service industry. And really, I think anyone could read it, because I think the tools and the tips in here apply. Anyone can get a lot out of it. And I so appreciate you coming on this podcast. I can't tell you what just this conversation did for me and what I'm going to take on with it and apply it to others, which I think is what both of us are trying to do. We're trying to serve others and serve them in many ways more than with alcohol.
Yes, exactly. 100%. Yeah. So yeah, you can pick up the book at Amazon. It's called Tipped. You can look at Tipped or Tipped Book. Also, please feel free to follow me on Instagram.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tipped Finance. I like to make financial memes. I like to make financial education pretty approachable and funny.
Love that.
And always feel free to reach out to me.